Today on the Gilbert.K Show, we're diving into Hollywood special effects, real explosions, and behind-the-scenes filmmaking with Oscar-nominated and BAFTA-winning SFX supervisor Mike Dawson, the creative force behind A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, House of the Dragon, Three-Body Problem, The Aeronauts, Snow White, and The Huntsman. From dragons and fire to practical effects, this is your front row seat to how movie magic is actually made. Let's give a big welcome to the one and only Mike Dawson.
Hey, Mike, pleasure to have you on the show. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to start with childhood and early curiosity. What kind of kid were you growing up? Were you always curious about how things work behind the scenes?
Well, it's my father was in the business as well. He was a workshop supervisor for a supervisor called Kit West, who did a lot of. He did the Raiders of the Lost Ark and things like that. So he worked for him all the time. And I remember when I was younger, I used to go into the garden shed because it was a lot different there. It was a lot more more local, more like, and I would go in the garden shed and it would always smell of chemicals or which was naphthalene predominantly, which is like a mothballs really, which they used to use in explosions to give you like big fireballs and things like that olden days. It would smell of that kind of stuff, and he would have things in there that looked really like weird and dark, like the dark materials thing, you know what I mean? So I was always like intrigued as to what he did. But I never really wanted to follow in his footsteps, to be truthful with you. I thought that, I don't know, it didn't really appeal to me for a while. And then as I grew older, he obviously would take me to, like the sets and things like that. My first, he took me to, Dr. No, and I saw the big volcano where it opens up, and that set was there, and the roof would pull back at Pinewood. And I remember seeing that as a child, and I was thinking, my God, what is this? It's so scary. You know, it was all a bit scary because I was a bit of a nervous child, which is not good when you want to go into special effects, but I kind of quietened down later on. I grew into it. So yeah, but I was always intrigued into how it would work and you know, the best way to how would I do that effect? You know what I mean? How would I do that? But so there was always an element of that, and it was always in the blood, as it were. So my grandfather was a prop master. He used to work and supply all the props and greenery and things like that. So it's in our blood, really. My uncle was a prop man. He was on Lawrence of Arabia. So it's kind of, so if you want to call me like a kind of a ish blue blood thing, it is definitely, I'm like third generation now in family, but that's
amazing. And how about your mom? Was she also in the industry or?
No, she wasn't. She was a total housewife. All she wanted to do is make sure I washed my hands properly when I came in from the garden shed, because they were always covered in like black stuff. Because it's so dirty. Honestly, it's so dirty. But it's so glad what you do, and it's like it's dirty. It's everything you do makes soot.
That's amazing. So, do you remember the first time you saw an explosion or visual effect in a movie and thought, I need to know how they did that?
I kind of always knew how, because my dad would always show me and tell me how to do things. Like he would show me how you would make up an explosion, and he would show me how to debt up primer cortex and stuff like that. And he would show me how you do that with a scalpel and push a little dent in, and he would show me lots of things. So really, I always knew how to do it. I was kind of brought up with it, so there was no fear factor or worried about stuff. I kind of knew what it was and what it entailed, and how to respect it as well, because I was taught from an early age how dangerous it could be, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now it's no different. It's still dangerous. It's no say. It's
Of
safer. But it's we do risk assessments now. We never used to do risk assessments then. So a lot more conscious of what can go wrong. But because people ask you as well, they're like, oh, so what's the effect that you've ever done that's gone really wrong? And it's like, we don't do effects that go wrong. It just can't happen, because if it does, it's really bad.
Yeah.
We try to rehearse and test and try to get it just right, as you've probably seen from like some of the stuff that we've done.
Yeah. That's amazing. So how did you get into, did you like go to school for that after, because you said you weren't thinking about being part of the film industry?
I went to work in, I left school and I got a job in a restaurant, and I wanted to be a chef, believe it or not. It's kind of similar, because you're making stuff, you know. It's kind of you're making. I think cooking is very similar to chemistry. It's very similar to special effects,
baking and stuff.
I was in that world, and I really was disillusioned by it all, because I was only young, and I was disillusioned by it, because restaurants then in England, they didn't close until like 3 a.m, and I was getting nothing. No life. And then he came in I distinctly remember it was one Christmas, and I was sitting there, and he's like, what you doing? I'm like, I'm just fed up with life, really. And he's like, I've got this, I'm going to start on Superman 1. Why don't you come and help on that for a while? and I'm like, oh, I don't know, because I don't even like heights. I don't like heights. and he was like, but you should do it. It will be good for you to get out of this business and try something else. So I went and worked at Shepperton Studios with a lovely man. I had a company called Eugene's Flying Circus, who did all the flying work for Superman, Christopher Reeves, and that was my job, was basically getting him in the harness, pulling him along the tracks. And in the ice cavern, you know, we were in the ice cavern for months doing that, you know, when all the baddies come round the ice cavern. That was what I started on, and that was my first job, really, with Superman 1. So it's not a bad start. And after that we went into Raiders of the Lost Ark, which was another little thing that he had, like, oh, I'm doing a little thing called Raiders of the Lost Ark, do you fancy doing that? And I'm like, yeah, I'll do it, because the money was much better than it was in cooking, and I didn't get smelly. So I just did that, and that was it. I was hooked, because you do get hooked, and you get like, you just can't get out. I mean, if you said to me now, industry is dead, go and do something else, I would not know what to do. I wouldn't know what to do. So
that's amazing. That's very inspiring, your story. So for someone watching right now, what does a special effects supervisor actually do on a film or TV set?
I would say that a special effects supervisor basically furnishes the production with all the in-camera effects. So what we do is on the day live, whereas visual effects augment our stuff or add to it or do it entirely on their own. But we are there every day providing the effects, be it rain, smoke, explosions, bullet hits, everything in camera. Some directors love it because they feel that and I actually concur with this, that that artists prefer to have it there, you know, rather than I've done Star Wars, and I've done scenes with Darth Vader fighting Luke. I did Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Jedi, as it was when we were making it, but Return of the Jedi, and there's nothing there. It's all blue, and it was all blue then, and it was like we had to put dets on little sparky where his laser would hit and stuff like that, and there's nothing there. It's so boring. But the artist, when you see an explosion or you see a strafe or a run of bullet hits or something, it gives them something to react to. Plus, it's noisy. It shows jeopardy, and they embrace that, I think. So
Yeah, yeah,
that's our lot in life, is to provide on set
yeah.
stimulation, basically, for
Stimulation.
the actors and
Yeah,
directors.
that's great. So what was your oh, you told me about your first job. Is there any lesson learned that you still use in your current job, or you
In what
learned the
way?
hard way? You learned the hard way. Is there one lesson you learned the hard way that still you use?
My lesson that I always try to teach the kids that work for me is never say no. Never say no. Always say, if you can't give something to a director, and sometimes we are all asked to do things that we can't possibly do, and never give them a negative, never be negative, just be, we can't give you this, but we can give you that. You know, always have something you can show
Options.
what it would be. You know, and I always I do cooking all the time. It's like, if I can't give you that steak, I can give you a piece of fish, you know, or chicken or something like that. Instead, never say you can't have steak, it's off, so get out the shop. You know, it's always I always like approach a film like we are front of desk in a hotel and we are the room service. They ring up and they can, like, days or hours before they want something and ask for it, and it's our job. It is our job to supply them something that is stimulating and effective and also visually exciting, you know.
Yeah. That's great. So was there ever a moment early in your career where you doubted yourself or thought about quitting?
I doubt myself every film I do. It's like, I honestly do.
Yeah.
I think that's a healthy healthy attitude to have. You know, I've seen some supervisors that are so cocksure of themselves, and I think that's because I think an element of not you don't go around saying, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I really don't. But in your heart, you're like, I have no idea I'm going to do this. I've done meetings that I've actually thought, I have no idea how I'm going to do this. And it takes me like 2 or 3 days to actually get that into my head. Obviously I can't talk about season 3 of Dragons, which we've just finished, which is, it's going to be amazing. But during that one, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I actually don't see episode when it comes out. Watch episode 1 of Dragons season 3, and you will see what I'm talking about, because that episode is crazy. And when I had the meetings about it, early days, I would go up to Soho and I'd meet producers and art directors and the showrunner and all that kind of stuff, and we would talk about what we wanted to achieve, what they wanted to achieve, and how they wanted to achieve it, and how would we achieve what they wanted. And I honestly would leave there and think, I'd go and get myself a cake because I needed sugar, you know, and I would think, I have no idea what I'm going to do, but it comes to you. Don't panic. That's the thing. Don't panic. It will come to you. You'll sort it out. I'm a great believer in go to bed on it and wake up in the morning and you've got a bit more of a plan, and it comes. But I think self-doubt is a healthy thing.
That's great. So we're going to take our first break and we're going to play a game, This or That. And it's a rapid fire game for the audience to get to know you. Are you ready, Mike?
I don't know what you're going to ask me, so I'm not really ready at all. How can I be ready?
Okay. Practical effects or CGI?
Oh, to me, it's got to be. Do you know what? I'd say practical effects. But I appreciate CGI, because without CGI, we couldn't do some of the stuff, like you couldn't do Lord of the Rings and some of the stuff that we have now. So I'm a great. But that's my domain is practical, definitely.
Yeah. Explosions or fire effects?
Oh, that's a tricky one. I hate doing fire effects, which is all I ever do. So I love doing explosions, and you get so much better. You get so many more claps on set when you do a nice explosion, and they're quite easy to do, really. But fire always makes me nervous because it's fire, and once you can hope it goes where you want it to go, and normally, and 9 out of 10 or 10 times out of 10 so far, fingers crossed, it will do what you want it to do. So for me, it's explosions all day long.
Wow. Film sets or TV sets?
They're basically the same. I mean, the TV stuff that I work on is basically
movie.
as big as a movie, if not bigger than a movie. Really, I mean, I've worked on obviously. I'm going to keep referencing Dragons because that's been my world for the last 4 years or 5 years. The sets there are massive, and I've worked on lots of big film stuff, big movie, and they're just the same, exactly the same. So for me, there is no difference.
Big budget or indie creativity?
I love the indie stuff because I've just finished something with Danny Boyle on a thing called Ink, which was great. It was so nice, and the crews are smaller and they're all friendly, and not I'm not saying they're not friendly on the big stuff. But you know, it's more of a personal thing, and it's small, and I love doing that. So I like the indie, but I like the paycheck on the big ones, really.
Of course, yeah. Dragons or
the thing is. Sorry, just go back.
Yeah.
The thing is, special effects is expensive by its nature. So from me, I don't really get many independents because they can't afford the big stuff, like the big boys can, really.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's good. Dragons or war scenes?
I love a dragon. I've got to love a dragon. Always.
Yeah.
I get upset when dragons die. When dragons die on House of the Dragon, I'm really upset. I read the scripts and I'm like, oh no, another dragon gone. Come on. I love that dragon because there's like so many dragons on it. It's like they're pretty as well. They're so pretty.
Yeah. Wow. Planning or improvising on set?
Oh, planning. Never improvise.
I don't improvise with explosions.
That's when accidents happen if you improvise,
Yeah, that's true. Early career hustle or peak career pressure?
Peak career pressure, I think, because I still hustle though. I still hustle now, but but I do like where I am right now in my life. It's I've reached that point where I was speaking to a producer about it the other day, and I think I've reached a peak of my career, but I'm happy with that. I'm never happy. I go further. I can't go any further than I've been. Obviously, I haven't won an Oscar, but I've been nominated for an Oscar. I've won a BAFTA, and I've been nominated for lots. And I've been nominated for loads of Emmys. I'd like that kind of stuff, but I'm very happy with where I am now. So I like that where I am right now.
That's amazing. One perfect shot or multiple takes?
Oh, we always allow for three takes. I always budget for 3 takes, but I love to get it in one because we don't have to reset. Basically, who wants to reset? No, the directors don't, and ADs definitely don't. They love it when you get it in one and they move on.
Yeah.
So let's do take.
Okay. And finally, behind the scenes or watching the final film?
Watching the final film, I think. I like to watch it. I like to see. Even now, I'm like asking the visual effects guys because they're up in Soho now, finishing off episode 1 of Dragons, and I'm like, can I come up and see? Can I come up and have a look? And then like, it's not quite ready yet, but I can't wait to see it. I just because you've put a year and maybe a year and a quarter into a project, and you just want. How many times? I don't know if you've ever walked out of a cinema, and you've spent so long doing this show, and it's absolute rubbish, and you think, what a waste of my life, you just want to see that amazing thing, and I obviously go with my partner, and I always look at him because we're sitting together and he's not seen anything. I don't talk to him about, he doesn't talk to me about his shit. I don't talk to him about mine. And so when I go there, I always like to see what his reaction is, because he's more of a I can gauge because he's more general public. And I like to see where he is with it. And I'm like, what do you think? And he's like, oh, that was so good. That was so amazing. No, that was absolute rubbish. But she doesn't do it that much now.
Yeah, that's great. So we're going to move on to the next segment. We worked on Snow White and Huntsman. What's one effect that film, from that film, that audience would be shocked was done practically? If there's one.
For me, my favorite shot on that, which could have been a CG because it looked so good, I thought, and I always wanted to do it. And when she got out, do you remember when she got out of the bath and she was covered in white? And we made that and made the bath, heated it, made the liquid, made it a bit thicker. Had to get to viscosity, but you could actually, like, Charlize could get into it, and she's unbelievably amazing actress, and she just got into this thing, submersed herself and pulled herself, and it just looked so, and I've seen it ripped off so many times now. It could have been a CG shot. I think it could have easily been a CG shot, but it wasn't. It was real, and it looked so good, and they all loved it. She loved it, and she was so accommodating, because not many A-class actors would get into a bath of white gunk, really. But it was all what would you call it, cosmetic grade dyes and things like that, toothpaste stuff and stuff like that.
It's safe. So yeah,
it was all safe, but it's still a lot to ask for it. But it looked so good, and I have seen it ripped off many times since, so I'm happy with that.
That's amazing. On the Aeronauts, everything felt so real and immersive. What was the biggest technical challenge on that project?
I love Aeronauts. I thought it was such a good little show. That was a small little show as well, but it was Amazon, but it was still pretty tight. And my biggest thing on Aeronauts basically was building the balloon. So we had to build a frame, a steel frame so you could put your basket underneath it. And then all the ropes would go out to the right degree, so it looked like it was hanging from the balloon. There was no balloon there, basically. And then we would get a massive crane and just take the actors and actresses up into the basket. So that was technically quite challenging because it had to go 150 feet up, really high. They're in a basket suspended from a practical basket. It was a real basket from a balloon anyway, but still your rig is holding two A-class actors 150 feet in the air, and they've got to act and feel safe. And that to me was very challenging, because obviously you've got to tick all the boxes as well, like the design of it. You got to sign it all off. You have to have the engineers come in to have a look and sign it off and things like that. And it was crazy, nerve-wracking the first day that they went up in that. But I think it looked really good, because it was actually real. Because when they were up in 150 feet up doing their acting stuff, they were actually it was real. So, but it was cool.
That's amazing. So you've worked on House of the Dragon, which is a huge in scale. How do you balance real effects with CGI in a show like that?
On Dragons, we're lucky in as much as we've been together now for 3 seasons. Everyone basically comes back. So visual effects wise, we did change visual effects after the first season, but that was only because they committed to something else. But we've had the same visual effects people in for 2 seasons 2 and 3, and they're going to be on 4. So we get on really well with them, and which I've always tried to nurture a hand in hand scenario, because I think years and years ago when visual effects started to get its feet, as it were, everyone regarded them as usurpers and people that were coming in to take your job, and that's not what they're about. They're not about that. Their job is to make your shots look better, amazing, and our remit is to make their stuff better and amazing. And I think that if you get a good relationship with Dardy and Tom, who do the House of the Dragon stuff, it's so it's so much easier, and we help each other. And they would say, we need a little bit of that on there, or I would say to them, I can't do that, can you do that? And that is the joy, having a visual effects, special effects team in harmony, because it's without that you're lost, you're absolutely lost, I believe.
Yeah. That's great. So when you're designing effects for dragons, fire, and large battle sequences, where do you even begin creatively?
Well, you've got to put yourself in the head of a dragon, really, I think. Because I know it's really because that was always my remit. Was obviously when they offered it to me the first time I was offered Dragon season 1, I obviously ran home absolutely ecstatic because I really wanted to do it, and I obviously got all the old House Game of Thrones stuff out, watched all those dragons, and then went for meetings, and then we spoke to the showrunners, and they're like, yeah, we like Dragon House Game of Thrones, but we want more movement on when they fly. We want more movement when they fly. We want more dynamic movement, because they use a 6-axis motion base on Game of Thrones, and we left that. We went away from that to a 3-axis, which gives you a much steeper degrees, and then obviously we started talking about the fire, and the differences between our show and Game of Thrones is our dragons are much bigger. They're huge, and I thought it's silly using the same concept that they used on that, because A, it's lazy, and B, it doesn't actually show you. I wanted to like mix it up a bit. Like a big dragon should have a bigger flame than a smaller dragon, and an older dragon should have a dirtier flame, because he's like a little bit like, it's almost like old people, like when you're older, you're not as young as you were, and things don't work quite the same. Although you're still an older dragon, you're still powerful. So we developed loads of different flamethrowers, and some of them are huge on these shows now. And likewise with the strafe, when we do the dragon run, we wanted to get away from the old system that they used and have a little bit more interest in. And I think we've done that, and everyone's very happy. I know that Ryan was really happy with some of the stuff that we did for the last season, because it gets bad.
Yeah. That's amazing. So what's one big myth about special effects that the audience completely misunderstand?
That it's glamorous. Because it's really not glamorous at all. I don't know how people perceive me, actually, or perceive my crew or us as in general. I think everyone's wowed by it. Like when we go to parties, the first thing people is, who's your favorite actor? Who's your worst actor? What's the biggest effect you've done? What's ever gone wrong? All that kind of stuff. And my partner is a designer, works for Nike, and normally he gets all the questions because everyone likes a Nike shoe. But no, it's special effects, and they want to know about how you do X, Y, Z, and it's so complicated, and it's hard to explain to them how you would actually go about burning 32 people in a strafe. How would you explain? And obviously when we do these kind of things, I'm just going back to a little bit maybe, is that our visual effects we like to be hand in hand with visual effects, but also we need to be hand in hand with stunts, because those guys are in there when we do our stuff. So they are our secondary people. You know what I mean? We look after them just as much as we would look after our own people. Because people getting caught alight and burning for 15 seconds maximum before they burn, and all that. It's really stressful. Super stressful. Got the grey hair, didn't I?
So in today's world of heavy CGI, in today's world of heavy CGI, why do practical effects still matter so much for storytelling?
I think that it matters because I think people can tell as well nowadays because people are more astute, more switched on because of shows like you do and other people like you, which is great. They can, and behind the scenes they see what is available and they see how things are made and they want that craft to go into it, because I think if you see a totally CG sequence, and some of them are really amazing, and some of them you can't do anything else. Like if you're doing a Star Wars fight back sequence, it's all CG. You can't. I mean, you might get the shot of someone firing a laser, but it's all, and that's fine. But I think when you can actually put in something that's real, people appreciate it. You like when I did Hellboy. And Guillermo loves to be practical, and all the animatronic stuff that he has made and uses with the eyes on the wings, and that's all real, and it's crazy, and it looks so good. And I think if you can do it, some people can't do it. Sometimes it's cheaper not to do it. It's cheaper to do it CG, but if you can do it, I think you get so much of a better response from actors. True. Plus, when people see it from your audience, you get a better response as well. I think it's invaluable. So thank God, because that's what everyone thought was going to happen. You were going to move away from this, and no one was going to do anything practically again. And it's not the case. And I don't think it will ever be the case. You know, all this AI stuff. It's great. AI is good, and it's got its place. But people want real people to look up to fixate on, or to follow. You know, that's my actor, that's my actress, that's who I'm engaged with. You can't do that if it's totally AI. That's true. You're not going to fall in love with an AI creature on Avatar, are you?
Yeah. No, you're right. So can you walk us through how a large scale explosion or fire scene is safely created on set?
Right. So if you were doing a large fire run, say a fire run, we would obviously get the parameters with stunts and visual effects as to what the scene is, what you want it to look like, and we would plot it out. We'd go to an old field somewhere in the background in the studio in Leavesden, or and we'd plot it out, and we would do dry runs. We have these metal men that we've created. We've built metal men, and we stand these metal men on the field or on the set, and they are real people, but for this intents and purposes, they are metal men, so we can do what we want with them. And then we experiment with different charges. So on dragons, we decided to go a different route this time with how we would ignite them and the liquid, and we were burning gas canisters, but we moved away from that, and we are now like a liquid mix underneath a lifting charge and an igniter, and we would try that out, and then once that got into you're pretty safe, you think that it's going to work, and all the time we're showing, we're filtering back our reference shots to the director, to the showrunner, to the producer, and we have a great producer, Kevin Delanoy, who's very hands-on and loves to see all this kind of stuff, and we show him all the time what we're doing, and we get feedback from them that that's right, or no, it's too big, or it's too small. And then once we're into a position where we actually think it's viable, we'll do a smaller shot on our own with stunts, because they need to know what it's like as well. And then on the day, we just set it out, and we have a firing box called a Galaxis, which is like basically it's a computer, and it just runs. You program everything in that you want it to do, and it just runs it. And we just lay out all the charges. Everyone's on their spot, and we just let it off. It takes months to do it, and it's over in like 3 seconds.
Like 1 second.
Literally.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And when people see that, they think, "Oh, that was good," but they have no idea that
How long it took.
And sleepless nights, because you're burning 30, 32, 33 people. That could be 33 fatalities, really, couldn't it? But just got to that you've done as much as you can to make it sure. And Rowley, who's our stunt guy, is very helpful in that respect. All his guys are so that's it, really. That's how we do it.
Yeah. How big is your team usually? It depends on the project, but if for the Dragon one,
on
usually
Dragon we had like 57 people.
Wow.
And about 57, which is a lot of people, and that's crazy as well. From my point of view, I've got to manage those people, and they're all like they've all got personalities, they've all got desires, and they're no one's the same. No one's the same. So
of course,
man management kind of stuff, and like, it'll be fine, and it's crazy. And 3 units going at a time, and you've got all these people running around, and he said that, he said this, and it's like, just get on with it. It's crazy. That's a lot of my job. Personalities, right? Managing personalities. That's harder than blowing people up.
Yeah. So do you get usually the script like right up front, or it depends on the project? Like how early do you get the script, and so you know what needs to be done?
We like to get the scripts normally, because if we're doing like
the show,
it's 8 or 10 or something like that. So we like to get the scripts basically so I can budget, because I can't budget if I haven't got a script. And they will inevitably ask you for a budget when you've only got 3 scripts, and it's like, I can't budget. I don't know what's in that's 4, 5, 6, 7. You don't know what's in
you
them.
need to know.
But so having all the scripts, which we do get on Dragons, that are very good like that. They just give us all 10 or 8 episodes, and we can work it out from that. So we early days, we get the scripts, we read the scripts hundreds of times, and then we break it down, and then we start to pull out what's ours and what's visual effects, and then we'll start having meetings, interdepartmental meetings, like construction. We'll have a meeting with art department to make sure that we're going to burn this hall in the castle is going to be burnt. You need to make it with stuff that won't burn, because if you make it out of polystyrene, we can't do it. It will melt. Things like that. So we do that. Then we talk to stunts. Then we talk to health and safety. We've got so many boxes to tick, but we're lucky on a show like that everyone's worked together so many times that we all know our position, and we all know who does what. Where there's no learning curve, because normally on a film it will take you a few months to get, or it'll take you a month probably before you're safe and you feel comfortable with who does what. But on Dragons, you hit the road running, because we've all done it before.
Yeah, we worked together before. Yeah. Okay, we're going to take a final break, and we're going to play a game, True or False. And it's time to test some facts about your life and career. Okay, so true or false, most explosions you see on screen are real?
I'd say that was false.
Yeah. True or false?
What do you think?
Yeah.
Are you giving me the answers, or are you just going to nod?
No, I just say true or false, and then you pick.
Oh, you're taking my word for it then? Oh, that's a mistake. Okay, that's good.
Okay, special effects are safer today than 20 years ago. True or false?
Yes, they are. True.
True or false? CGI has completely replaced practical effects.
False.
True or false? Weather effects like rain and wind are often created on set.
True.
True or false? Fire scenes are always controlled and planned.
Oh, true.
And true or false? Special effects teams work closely with stunt teams.
Very true.
That's what you mentioned. You can,
Yeah,
true or false, you can create great effects even on a small budget.
true-ish.
True or false, mistakes on set can sometimes lead to better shots.
That's false.
Yeah.
Absolute false.
True or false, every effect is planned down to the smallest detail.
True.
And finally, true or false, the audience can always tell what's real and what's fake.
I'd like to think that's true, although I
Yeah.
can't talk for the audience, but I'd like to think that's true.
Yeah. And so we're going to move on to our final segment, career milestones and latest work. You've received an Academy Award nomination for Best Visual Effects for Snow White and the Huntsman. What did that moment mean to you? And did it change how the industry saw your work?
It meant a lot to me at the time because I was like, I never thought it was, I didn't think I'd get it for that anyway. I thought it was like, wow, this is nowhere. And it's so much nicer when you don't expect something like that. I liked it because it's a nod really from how many people in the world have been nominated for an Oscar. Not that many really. And it's good to join that club. As a consequence, you obviously can join the Academy and you get all the screeners and things like that. So it's kind of cool, and you're part of that elite, if you want to call it elite, although it's a bit overused, elite group. And but I think to have it's almost like having a hug from your industry. I think that they actually, we see you. You know, it's almost like an avatar moment. We see you and all that kind of stuff. So from that point of view, it's really nice, and I wouldn't change that for the world, and I'm really happy. And likewise, when I won the BAFTA, it was like I never in a million years thought I'd get it, you know. And I remember going to BAFTA when they were doing the awards, and I sat down and I was sitting next to a colorist, and he said to me, "You know, you're not going to win. You know that Andor's going to win." And I'm like, "Oh, great! I don't know why am I dressed up like I'm coming?" So I just got the bottle of red wine and I just poured, and I just had a massive glass of red wine, and I thought,
Oh no!
when they call Andor, I'm just going to glug this and I'm going to go. And then they called out our name, and we had to go up, and that was crazy because I wasn't expecting it, and I kind of lost it for a minute. But I'm so happy to get, and it's so nice to. I think my partner likes the fact that I've got one more than me, but because and work wise, I don't think I don't think you get more work from it. I don't think you ever do. I think people just, they like it, and it's always good for your CV, and you can put your nominations and your wins on your CV. But I don't think people, I mean, there's people out there like, you know, some people have won 4 or 5 Oscars and they're very successful. You can work an Oscar and you can have it like, you can use that in your, and some directors will go, if it was between me and a guy that's won 4 Oscars, maybe you'll go with the 4 Oscar guy because you've seen that he, but I'm not trying to mimic him. I don't want to mimic him. I want to be me. So if you want me for me, I'm there. But if you want him because he's got Oscars or he talks the talk better than me, then that's fine. You know, I can only do what I do. But I don't think you could say, oh, I've won an Oscar now, I'm going to go stratospheric, because I don't think that's the case. I really don't.
Yeah.
But
that's
I
great.
do want another one.
Many more. So you're now working on A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. What excites you most about this project, and how you're pushing special effects even further this time?
Night of the Seven Kingdoms is so different to House of the Dragon, in as much as they don't have anywhere near the budget really of Dragons, which is that's not my thing. It is what it is. So it was a smaller, it's only a 30-minute episode, and far less demanding from effects point of view. We have basically a lot of atmos, and there's no dragons in it for a start, and there's obviously jousting and there's big tournaments and things like that. But I love the fact that it's so, I wouldn't call it lo-fi, but it is pretty lo-fi, and it works so well. So that shows you that it's almost like doing an art house an art house movie as opposed to a blockbuster. And they're both, there's a space for both of them in the world, I think, really, because look how many people watch that show. It's huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't call it back-to-back action sequences, because it's not. But they just like the acting, they like the kid, they like Dexter, and they like the rapport he has with Dunk and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's refreshing that you don't have to spend multi millions, although it's obviously going to be millions, but it's not like the same level on Dragons, and it's still a hit. People can still buy into it. I'm not saying that everything that HBO should do should be like that, because I don't want to, because I'll be cutting my own throat. So I'm not going that way in any way. But I do. I'm just happy that I'm attached to both of them, really. So I can't. I'm a double winner, aren't I? Really.
That's amazing. So, and after everything you created, explosions, fire, entire worlds, what still excites you today when you step on set?
I've always done it. I've done it since I was 16, so I'm in my 60s now, and it never, ever, ever fails to excite me when I walk onto a set and I see a set that's been built, because everyone that's done that, they've apart from our guys that have done, laced it up with either explosives or gas or whatever, the fact that it's built beautifully, there's craftsmanship to the degree of like the costumes are beautifully, but you won't ever see it. You never see it. Yeah. But if you're there and you're standing next to Rhaenyra and you look at a costume, it's beautiful. Likewise, the hallway is made, all the stone plinths, and it's all real, and it never ever fails to do a wow thing. It's like, wow, this is what a crazy industry to be in. What a privilege to be in this industry as well. I love it. It's kind of, I was watching Martin Scorsese last night on the documentary about him, and I thought it was such a cool. His life is so great, and the fact he still has that passion, that burning light, even now he still has it, and I want to be like that. I don't ever want to be tired of it. I don't ever want to be jaded. I want to always go on there excited, and I've done Dragons and I've done Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and I love it, but then I'll get Three Body Problem, which is a completely different thing. And I get excited about that, and then you get the Agency, which I did. I get excited about that. You should never lose your passion, and that's the thing that you have to hold on to, because you should cherish that.
That's great. Do you have any tips for upcoming special effect talents? Any tips that you wish somebody told you while you're trying to break in?
I think you should never mimic other people. Do your own thing. Do it how you want to do it. Believe in yourself. So ultimately, at the end of the day, I've got 57 people working for me, and we'll do a shot, and they'll line it up. They run with it. Basically, I'll tell them what I want to do, what I want to achieve, how I think we should achieve it. But I don't stand over their shoulders. I can't. I haven't got time. So at the end of the day, say, right, this is it now. Do you want to come and have a look at it? And then you have to step up and say and own it, because I think that you're responsible for it. And what goes on screen, everything that goes on that screen, I am responsible for. So you need to own it, and that needs to be from your heart. So when you get to that point where you are talking to directors, or you are talking to art department, or you are talking to a showrunner, believe in what the product, and believe in what you have to offer. Never actually think that it's not good enough. It's what you want. It's what you're employed to do, and they've trusted you to do that. So don't let them down, but also, own it, because that's the most important thing. You can own it, because even if it didn't work out, and they say to you, that's not really what I want, at least it's from, you've done what you could to do it. And I think that's a good thing to hold on to. So you can go to bed and think, well, clean conscience.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Okay, Mike, we're nearing the end of the show. That's all, folks. Thank you for watching. Mike Dawson, everyone. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you very
Pleasure
much
to
for
have you on the
talking
show.
to me, and thanks for listening.
Thank you.